In the 57th question, we have a sum of rupees 2500 is distributed among x, y, and z in the ratio 1 is to 2 is to 3 by 4 is to 5 by 6. What is the difference between the maximum share and the minimum share? Option A rupees 300, option B rupees 350, option C rupees 400, or option D rupees 450. So we have this 2500 rupees divided between x, y, and z. One of them gets the maximum share and one of them gets the minimum share. We have to do the subtraction. So the ratio of their shares are in the order of 1 by 2 is to 3 by 4 is to 5 by 6. By this we don't understand anything. So what we need to do is that we need to take the LCM of the denominators, that is 2, 4 and 6. The LCM of 2, 4 and 6 is 12. If you want to work it out, you can work it out. So how can I represent 1 by 2 as something divided by 12? That would be 6 by 12. And here I would have into 3 and into 3. So that would be 9 by 12. And I would have 10 by 12. 6 into 2 and 5 into 2. So if I eliminate this 12, then I would get the ratio as 6 is to 9 is to 10. This is the ratio in which the price has been distributed between x, y, and z. So the total is plus 9 plus 10, which is nothing but 25. So x share is 6 by 25 and y share is 9 by 25 and z's share is 10 by 25. So who gets the maximum and who gets the minimum? Z gets the maximum, max boy, and min boy is x. So 10 by 25 minus 6 by 25, max share minus minimum share. That's what they're asking. Difference between max share and minimum share is 4 by 25. But that's not the answer. We in turn have to multiply 4 by 25 with the sum, with the amount, that is rupees 2500, and then we would get rupees 400 as the answer, which is option C. Yes, option C, rupees 400. In the 58th question, we have, for what value of n the sum of the digits in the number 10 to the power n plus 1 is 2? A, for n is equal to 0 only, B, for any whole number n, C, for any positive integer n only, or D, for any real number n. They're not telling us 10 to the power n plus 1 needs to be 2. They are telling us the sum of the digits of 10 power n plus 1 need to be 2. Okay. So let's go through the first option. If n is 0, then we get 10 to the power 0 plus 1 is 2. That is 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, it satisfies. So option A satisfies. Okay, not option A satisfies. You can say n is equal to 0. This equation satisfies. So let's try out for the second option. For any whole number n, whole number starts from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. 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 It goes on. 0 we have already verified that it satisfies. So if I take say 3, then 10 to the power n will be 10 to the power 3 plus 1 is equal to 2. 10 to the power 3 is nothing but 1000 plus 1 will give us 1001. Now we need to add the digits. These are the digits. So that is 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1, which gives us, write it here itself, which gives us 2, right? 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 gives us 2. So 10 to the power 3 also holds good. If n is 3, then also the statement holds good. So this is not just limited to 3. Even if it is 10 to the power 2, we will get something like 100. So it's just like you're adding the zeros. If it is 10 to the power 3, 3 zeros, 10 to the power 4, 4 zeros, 10 to the power 5 zeros. So whatever value of n from 0 to infinite, when you sum its digits, it will give you a value of 2. So let's go to the C. For any positive integer n only. This is not true because we have seen that this condition holds good for 0 as well, and 0 is not a positive integer. So option C we can eliminate. 10 to the power 0 plus 1 is also 2. So option C doesn't hold good. For any real number n, this is also not true because the minus 1 is also a real number. Okay, so I'll just erase these things. So say I take 10 to the power minus 1 plus 1, that will be something like 0.1 plus 1. So when you sum its digits, then you don't get 2 because here it is not 1, it is in fact 0.1. 0.1 is not a digit. So option B will be the right answer for any whole number n. Let's go to the 59th question. In a class, there are three groups A, B and C. If one student from group A and two students from group B are shifted to group C, then what happens to the average weight of the students of the class? Option A, it increases. Option B, it decreases. Option C, it remains the same. Or option D, no conclusion can be drawn due to insufficient data. So what they are saying is there are three groups, but these three groups are from the same class. This is very important to note. So I have these three groups A, B and C, but they're all from the same class. So they are saying that one student from A is moved. So supposing we have 10 students in group A, 10 in B and 10 in C. If they move a student from group A, then you would have 10 minus 1, that is 9 over here. And if they move two students from group B, then you have 10 minus 2, 8 over here. And they're all moved to group C, so plus 3, that is 1 plus 2, 3, you have 13 over here. So whatever be it, as a total you have again 9 plus 8 plus 13, which is 30. So the total number of students in the class would not change. Okay, so their average weight which they're asking would also remain the same. Option C would be the right answer. We have the 60th question here. How many different sums can be formed with the denominations rupees 50, rupees 100, rupees 200, rupees 500 and rupees 2000, taking at least three denominations at a time? Option A 16, option B 15, C 14 or D 10. So basically you have to choose 3 out of 5 possibilities, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So to solve this, we use combinations. You might have heard about permutations and combinations. So the answer is very simple here. It is 5C3. You pluck out 3 from a total possibility of 5. So NCR is equal to n factorial by n minus r factorial into r factorial, where r is actually the sample which you choose, which in this case is 3, and n is the total universe, total availability, that is 5. So you choose 3 from 5, that is 5C3 would then become 5 factorial by 5 minus 3 factorial into 3 factorial, which is nothing but if you deduct 3 factorial by 5 factorial, it is 5 into 4. By 5 minus 3 factorial is 2 factorial, which is nothing but 2 into 1. So the answer is 20 by 2 is equal to 10, which is option D. So what is the difference between a permutation and a combination? In a permutation, the order in which the things which you have plugged out is also of importance. Say for example, you choose 11 people in Indian cricket team. So according to combinations, it's all about who are going to be there in this 11, whether it is Gautam Gambhir or Virat Kohli and Sehwag, whoever it is, who make up the 11 members team. If these 11 players are the same, then that is combination. That is one particular combination. But when you talk about a permutation, it also depends upon who will be opening the batting for India. whether it is Sehwag and Virat, or Dhoni and Tendulkar. Each of these things matter. So the way in which you order these things which are plugged out matters in permutations. So definitely the number that you get in a permutation would be much more than a combination. That is why, say you pluck out three things, then you can order these three things in three factorial ways. 3 into 2 into 1 is equal to 6 ways. In case you pluck out four things, then you can order these four things in four factorial ways. That is 4 into 3 into 2, that is 24 ways. So this will be multiplied with the combination to arrive at the permutation. So the formula for permutation would be something like NPR is equal to n factorial by n minus r factorial. Okay, there is no divided by r factorial as you had found in the combination. Let's go to the next question. In the 67th question, we have how many different five-letter words with or without meaning can be constructed using all the letters of the word Delhi, so that each word has to start with D and end with I. How many different five-letter words starting with D and ending with I, and there should be no repetition? See, we know that there is no repetition because they say that can be constructed using all the letters. If we use all the letters, then we will have to use all the five letters in the word Delhi, right? And we need to construct a five-letter word. That means there is no repetition. So, and also the other condition is that it should start with D and end with I. So D is the first and I is the last letter, fifth letter and first letter. For 2, 3, 4, second, third and fourth position, we don't know which those letters are. So what we do in this case, we have to find the order in which these letters are placed. The letters are E, L and H. For this kind of scenario, we use permutations. Okay, like, or say for example, instead of three places there were like four places, and you had to choose the letter E, L, H. Then the solution would be 4P3. But in our case, we have three spaces and three letters E, L and H. So our solution is 3P3 and not 4P3. So what would be 3 permutation 3? We already know that it is n factorial by n minus r factorial, which is nothing but 3 factorial by 3 minus 3 factorial. So n represents the spaces which have to be filled, the total universe, and R represents the total possibilities, that is E, L and H. So in this case, since n and r are equal, we get 3 factorial by 3 minus 3 factorial, which is 3 into 2 into 1 by 0 factorial, which is nothing but 1. So 6 is our answer, option D. If suppose this question was reframed to find out what is the ratio of liquid B to that of liquid A, then we would find out how we would solve this problem. Initially there would be 20A and 0B. Then it's an easy case, we have 16A and 4B. So we already have 4 parts of B, right? And the proportion of B in this liquid would be 4 by 20. Now 16 by 20 of this liquid is allowed to remain. 16 parts out of 20 of the entire liquid, of the entire mixture, is allowed to remain, and 4 by 20 part of it would actually be B. So I will add it by 4 by 20. So this is the B, the new B, which is being added in the second stage process. And this is the liquid from the first stage process, the first mixture, out of which 4 by 4 out of 20 parts belongs to B, which we've seen here, 4 by 16 plus 4, that is 4. This is B's share, and 16 by 20 is the mixture which is retained. mixture retained. Okay, so if I add this, not add, if initially I multiply 4 into 16 by 20 would give me 64 by 400 plus 4 by 20, which is nothing but 64 plus 80 by 400. We see here that the denominator here is 20. We have to make it to 400, so we will have to multiply the numerator by 20. So that's how I got 80 is equal to 144 by 400. So this is the ratio of B in the entire mixture after the two stages. So if I simplify it further, then I would get it as, say, divided by 4. 14, 4 goes in 14 3 times, 2 is the remainder. So out of 24, 4 goes 6 times. So I would have something like 36 by 100. Again, 4 is a common factor, so which is equivalent to 9 by 25. So 9 is to 25 is the ratio of B. The 69th question, we have the average score of a batsman after his 50th innings was 46.4. After 60th innings, his average score increases by 2.6. What was his average score in the last 10 innings? They're talking only about the last 10 innings. Okay, so this is something important to remember. So see, in the first 50 innings, his score was average was 46.4. After 60th innings, it increases by 2.6. 46.4 plus 2.6 is nothing but 49. Okay, so we'll not solve it that way though. I will give you an easy way how you can solve this. So let us say this is the first innings, second innings, third innings, and so on till 50th. Let's assume that he's been scoring 46.4, although it's not physically in reality possible to score 46.4. You have to score 47 or 46. Assuming he has scored 46.4 everywhere until this innings. Okay, now his average score increases by 2.6, right? So for that, he should have scored 2.6 more over here till he reaches 60, right? So what I need to do here is that assume that from 51st innings onwards, okay, he has scored 46.4 till he reaches 60, just like before. So what is this extra score which he has had to score? This is nothing but 2.6 into 60. This is the score, extra score which he has to score to cover it up, to increase his average from 46.4 to 49. Okay, so 2.6 into 60 would give us 156. So this 156 is the extra score that he scores in the last 10 innings, because until 50th innings his score was 46.4. So all this burden, all the burden of this 2.6 from the first match till the last 60th match will be the score of 156, which is borne by the last 10 matches alone. Okay, so I'll just write it down. This 156 by 10, this is the extra score that each of the last 10 matches that the batsman scores. So 15.6 runs is the extra runs he's making in the last 10 innings, because 10 innings is what he plays after his 50th innings. This we need to add to the base score. We know already that the base score is 46.4. So if I add 15.6 to 46.4, then I would get 62. So 62 is the answer. 62, let's see, it's there in the option. Option C is the right answer. So we have the 70th question. As a result of 25% hike in the price of rice per kg, a person is able to purchase 6 kg less rice for rupees 1200. What was the original price of rice per kg?
Actually, in these kind of questions, we must just look into the options, whether it's 30 or 40, 50 or 60. Okay. So when I say a number like say 30, okay, 25% hike would be 37.5. That is 30 into 125 by 100, which is nothing but 30 into 5 by 100, 5 by 4, which is 37.5. You should be able to do this mentally. You shouldn't really take so much of a time. It comes by practice. If we solve this problem by conventional method, then it would be something like initially I had X, the price was X, and I buy Y quantity of rice for 1200. Then the price increased by 25%, so 1.25x. I'm able to buy Y minus 6 kilograms for the same 1200. So equation 1 is equivalent to equation 2. So it is equivalent to saying xy is equal to 1.25x multiplied by y minus 6. It's a very conventional way of doing it, and it would take a lot of time. But if you have time, you can do it. It's nothing but 1.25xy minus, bring it over here, 7.5x, which is nothing but is equal to 0.25xy, and here you have 7.5x. So if I bring it down further, 7.5 by 0.25 would be 30. So 30x is equal to xy. I cut on x, then I get y is equal to 30. Y is the quantity of x. So initially you could buy 30 kilograms of rice. And at what price would you buy them? That would be 1200. That is the total price that you have paid by the quantity. So 1200 by 30, that is rupees 40. 40 rupees is the price at which you buy initially. And again, it would lead us to option B, which is the right answer.